Hello, and welcome to another non-refundable episode of We Only Look Thin. I am Katherine Weigel. I am one of your hosts. I am a Tiny Habits certified coach, a Thrive Global certified coach. I've lost over 100 pounds and kept it off for over 7 years. And with me today is
Donald Weigel, and I have lost about 100 pounds. I've kept most of it off for about 7 years. This holiday season was rough.
Yep.
It was rough, folks. I did not stick to the promises that I made to myself.
Mistakes were made.
But we're working on getting back on track. And hello, I am one of the hosts of this show.
Hello.
And we are here to talk about it.
We are here to talk about it. It is the first episode that we are recording in the year 2025.
Yeah.
It is, we've taken a little break. We recorded some episodes in December. We kind of did a lot at once.
We probably fooled you into thinking that we recorded those in this year, 2025.
Yeah, it sounded great.
It sounded like they were from the future.
Wow, Catherine and Donald's doing great in 2025. It's amazing. But as we were recording it, is the first episode we are recording in 2025. And we are here to say that 2025 has gotten off to a little bit of a rocky start for the world.
Yeah, definitely. And we are in the Los Angeles part of the world. And as we are recording this, the lots of parts of the city are on fire.
Yeah, lots are on fire. We are fine. We've
been incredibly fortunate. Many others have not, but we are very lucky. So far, where we live, we've been relatively fine.
So we are fine, but this isn't how we expected the beginning of 2025 to go.
No.
When we were recording episodes in December, we had a plan of how the following weeks were going to go. We had already planned on going on vacation with family, which was super duper great. We were getting back home on December 29th, and everything was like, okay, we're going to get home, do laundry. January 1st, brand new year, clean slate, fresh start. Everything's going to go great. And that's what we anticipated.
Yeah.
But many plans don't go according to them.
Yes.
That is true. But
this plan is not going according to it.
Yeah. So anytime we make a plan, we are going on the information we have at that moment. We had planned to be home on time. We had planned for the new year to be a fresh start. And things change, Donald. Did you know that? Just like the seasons.
I have heard of that.
Change.
There are a few songs that talk about things changing.
There are.
That's the only reason I know it, though.
Dear listener, have things changed for you? Because for us, we had planned to be home on the 29th, and then a family emergency came up, which had it. We sort of had to adapt, and I didn't actually get back from vacation and sort of managing some family things until just a few days ago, second week of January. Got home and was like, okay, fresh start, new start to the new year. It's going to be a little bit later, but it's going to happen. Got home and there were fires in Los Angeles, school closures, work closures, go bags needing to happen in case fires entered our area.
Yeah, we have go bags sitting by the front door, ready to go. They're ready to go.
Yeah,
but my office has been closed. I've been working from home, and even if this kind of thing wasn't happening, or it's hopefully not happening where you live, there is a phenomenon of people start the new year and they're pumped and they're ready to go and they have all these ideas about what they're going to do. And, I recently heard about something called Quitters Friday or Quitters Day or something like that. It's like the second Friday in January is when most people give up on all of their New Year's resolutions. And so, that's a very short amount of time in which to suddenly be like, well, I guess it's all over. I'm going to give up. I guess 2026 is a new year.
Yeah. And we have heard, for decades, and this is something that Donald and I did, was we go into a new year with aspirations in the sort of magical thinking world where this is the year that there are going to be no illnesses, no world events, no weather changes that are going to get in my way. Everything is going to go exactly according to plan. And that is frankly magical thinking. We have done lots of episodes about sort of adapting. We did an episode called Winter is Coming, where we sort of talked about like something's going to happen, but we don't know what that is going to be. And factoring our lives into that X factor really helps us stay the course, even when our circumstances change. And when we're building new habits and, at the beginning of the year, maybe you're doing a new weight loss program or a new fitness program, having structure and having predictability is really lovely. The plan is telling me what to do. It's telling me how much to eat. This trainer is telling me how much to work out. Like I've got it all in place. But so many times Donald and I failed because the minute an obstruction came our way in our goals, people came to town. We had a work dinner. I twisted my ankle. It rained when we didn't expect it to rain.
Right.
We were rigid in thinking, I'm going to follow this plan. It's going to get me to my goals. And we believed that was true. And then one pebble got in our shoe and we saw it as proof that we weren't cut out, that everybody else is luckier than we are. We can't do the weight loss program until that magical year where everything, all obstructions are out of our way. And that kind of rigidity led us to be frustrated, overwhelmed and angry that we just weren't the kind of people who could lose weight.
Yeah, and a classic example for me, I did Atkins, which is low carb diet, keto, and I would be on it, and I would lose weight even being on it, and I might even be on it for several months, and then a family would come to town, or there'd be an event, and everybody wanted to go to an Italian restaurant. And it is really difficult as a vegetarian to eat low carb at an Italian restaurant. So I would have a meal, and then suddenly I would just be like, well, I guess it's over. Or in my head, I would be like, well, I would remember how much I enjoyed eating carbs.
Yeah.
and I would, instead of adapting to that, I would just throw up my hands and eat all the carbs, and all the weight would come back on.
Right. And so we're asking you because, obviously we're real human people with real human things that happen to us.
Yeah, humans.
We have not had the beginning of 2025 that we had anticipated. And in the past, that would have led us to be defeated, overwhelmed, and maybe even go 3 months to a year before trying to put healthy habits in place again. So we're asking you, and there are many kinds of people who listen to this podcast. Some of you are going, this resonates with me, Donald and Catherine. I am experiencing this myself right now. So you're going, oh boy, people are like me. And then maybe you're on the other side going, ha 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 to you, human. Everything is going great for me and nothing is ever going to get in my way.
Yeah.
So there are many kinds of people listening. If everything is going your way, like hooray and yay for you, Donald will include a laugh track or clapping.
You keep riding that train.
Yeah, ride that train. But consider that in the future, something might not go your way. And this is the episode to listen to find out about why it's important to sort of expect the unexpected. If you are being challenged right now and things aren't going your way and you're feeling friction and maybe a little bit of anger and resentment that you're having to deal with things outside of your control, listen up for this episode. And we're going to give you some, this is a universal thing that happens. We're going to give you some ideas of how to manage that. This is actually going to be sort of a 2-part episode. In this episode, we're going to talk about rigidity, that adherence to plans, wanting everything to go your way without any kind of detour, and why that isn't good and how that kind of sets us back on our health goals. So this is sort of the learning part of the knowing yourself better part. And then next week we're going to talk about the importance of adaptability, and if you are kind of stuck in your ways, how to kind of break out of that a little bit to help you toward your health goals.
Yes, indeed.
So again, today we're going to talk about rigidity, that inflexibility. And, for a potato chip, rigidity is delicious. It's crispy and delightful.
Boy.
But we are not potatoes, people. We are real humans.
No.
And rigidity doesn't go well for us. Just because it works for the humble potato doesn't mean that it works well for us. So rigidity is the unwillingness to consider new perspectives, embrace change, or adjust behaviors when necessary. And this results in missed opportunities and increased stress levels. I know I have done this. I expect things to go one way, something changes, and then I'm angry and frustrated and overwhelmed. And when we feel that, it limits our ability to come up with alternative solutions to things. So we're going to go through 6 different ways that rigidity is bad. So don't be bad. Sorry.
Wow, the timely South Park Mr. Mackey voice.
Be bad.
Oh my goodness.
I know. Sorry.
That's like 40 years old now or something.
It's kind of South Park was a thing before I moved to California, which was in 1997, I guess.
It's from the 90s for sure.
Yeah, going in the way back.
So I guess not 40 years old, but definitely 30.
It's not good. So, Donald, tell us one way that rigidity is not good.
Well, if you are rigid, you might have inflexibility in your thinking, which manifests itself in you're unwilling to adjust your beliefs or opinions or approaches when you're faced with new information or more importantly, probably new circumstances when it comes to weight loss and fitness. And the way that this often kind of manifests itself is, people say, I know what to do. I just can't get myself to do it.
That drives me bananas.
Yeah, exactly. Or they will say to themselves, the only real exercise is blank, is running.
Yeah.
But it's snowing outside, so I can't run. Well, could you go somewhere that has an indoor treadmill? Well, no, I need to run outside. That's the only way I can do it for real. Or the only real exercise is going to a gym and lifting weights on machines. Well, could you get an inexpensive set of dumbbells? Or could you, do you have 2 wine bottles at home, that you could, look up a YouTube video and do some exercise at home? Or, like I was sort of talking about earlier, the only real way for me to lose weight, the only thing that's ever worked for me is low carb.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that works. Or the only thing that's worked for me is paleo. Or the only thing that's worked for me is insert, diet here. And an unwillingness to even try something new because you think that there is only one right way to do this.
Well, and I think one of the, we think it is a benefit of inflexibility is that it's proof. If we are it's black and white, nope, that's the only thing that's going to work.
That's
and
true.
Unless
it really is a great excuse to stop.
It feels really good going up. Nope, it's
I can't do it because the only real thing I can do is this thing, and I can't do that thing.
Well, and I think that there is a satisfaction in saying no. Nope, it's not for me.
For sure.
It works for everybody else, but I'm a unique
it absolves me of responsibility for doing anything and for my lack of action.
Right. And it's sort of that, the finish of that is until things go back to these exacting previous standards, then there is nothing for me to do. So I might as well not do anything until I'm back there. I know, as we are aging, I don't know about you, Donald, but I'm aging.
Yeah, I'm aging.
But there are times when we get stuck in the way things used to be. Well, before I had kids, I was able to do, this kind of workout, and I ran marathons and I biked in the morning and I did all these things. Back in those halcyon days, but now I'm 20 years older and the circumstances have totally changed. Why can't I just do what I was doing before? And like, you just said it. Everything has changed. You're older. You've got kids. Your responsibilities have changed. You've moved. It's snowing outside. Oh, but why can't I? Well, you just said, like, why are you not paying attention to what is actually happening in your life?
Yeah,
so
I think we're now stepping on other points we were going to make in the future. But I think that another thing that people do is they remember themselves in their teens or 20s, and all they needed to do was add 30 minutes of something, 30 minutes of exercise. They didn't need to change anything else. For a lot of people, if they just added 30 minutes of exercise a day or every other day, then the weight would come off. And now they're our age. I'm in my 50s, and it's not that easy. I don't know if it was ever that easy for me, but it was certainly easier 30 years ago.
Right. So, well, and the next one that ties into this, on to number 2, is resistance to change, a strong aversion to altering routines or habits, even when beneficial. When we decide the only time that I can work out is in the morning, even though everything else, like, now I'm working early. Well, now I'm working early. I can never work out again. That's the only way that it'll work.
Right.
Resistance to change. Hey, your gym closed. How about a new one? Hey, you don't have time to go to the gym. What if you worked out at home? When we resist and almost like pout, like, well, now that this has changed, I can't lose weight. I have done this myself. There was a product at Trader Joe's that was delicious and low calorie.
You've been talking about this for literally years now.
It's been 4 years since they discontinued this low calorie treat. And there is still a little part of me that's like, well, so now that this 30 calorie treat is no longer available, I guess that's just the end of my weight loss life. Like, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And like, there's still a magical little part of me that would love to blame that one little treat for being the reason. Not like, oh, well, I'm keeping lots of chocolate in the house and eating off our daughter's plate and not walking as much. Like, there are many factors, but when we sort of put a laser focus on being stubborn about like, this has changed. And so until everything goes back to normal, like, it's not my fault. Again, it gets back to that. It's the world's fault, not my fault that I can't lose weight.
Yeah. And so the next example of rigidity holding you back, holding me back, is poor decision making.
Yeah.
When you have an unwillingness or an inability to consider other options and perspectives when you're making decisions, it leads to poor choices.
Yep.
And, we've already given a few examples of this, but again, it's that idea of I can't do anything else. There's only this one thing that works for me. There's only this one, this one treat at Trader Joe's that I can't get anymore that works for me.
When you put my words back at me.
So I can't make a good decision now on what to eat, or I can't make a good decision now on how to get more movement because there's just no other options, instead of exploring other possibilities and opening yourself up to get out of your comfort zone a little bit.
Exactly. So in Dr. Alice Boyce's book, The Healthy Mind Toolkit, and we've talked about it before, she talks about letting go of the idea of a necessity and thinking of it more as a preference. Sure, I would prefer if it was sunny outside for me to go for a walk, but I can still adapt and do it in other circumstances. So the idea of like being open to other choices instead of being rigid is so important. I know for me, when I don't have to challenge myself and I don't like open myself up to other options, again, it lets me put the blame on the world instead of going like, yeah, I would prefer if it was like this. But the good news is that there are other options. When we isolate ourselves from other choices, it's just stinking thinking.
This isn't really weight loss and fitness related, but that idea of things being a preference rather than there only being one right way, it really has helped me in a lot of circumstances. Like there really isn't one right way to load your dishwasher, everybody. It's just a preference. It's just the way you prefer it. You could probably just toss them in there and close the door and everything would be fine without even looking.
Well, I accidentally bought the wrong flavor of toothpaste.
Yeah.
Big problem, everybody.
Yeah.
How am I going to get my minty white breath there's
minty white
breath?
There's no way to do it.
There's no way to do it.
There's no way to get minty white breath.
So I was like, ew, this is gross. And then I remembered, I was like, Alice boys, it's a preference. I was like, you know what? I can tolerate this flavor of wintergreen for 2 minutes a day, 4 minutes a day. It's fine. It's a preference. It's fine. And guess what? It has made my life better, not putting this big dramatic life is ruined, can't brush my teeth now. So now minty white breath is what I have.
I need to remember at work a lot. I work with a lot of people who fall into this, and I'm sure I still do it, but the idea that there is one right way to do something, and I just have to sort of step back and go, okay, they're just expressing their preference. I don't need to get into an argument with them about how
just imagine them as a crispy, delicious potato chip. I love crispy, delicious potato chips.
Yeah, like a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Exactly.
Looking at someone and they turn into a ruffle.
Exactly. Okay, so the next one is, and this is a really big one for me, or it used to be a really big problem, is rigidity leads to social isolation. When I used to go on diets and believe that I had to adhere to them 100%, 365 days a year, I isolated myself from seeing other people. I can't go to your party because I have to eat 5 cherry tomatoes at 3 p.m. and I can't be in a car if I don't have, the cherry tomatoes. I almost said tomatoes because I just spent a lot of time with family on the East Coast, and I am so terrible at absorbing other people's accents.
If Catherine is in London for 5 minutes, suddenly she's saying, "Pip pip, governor."
I am chippery. I'm terrible.
Yeah.
I actually literally. I use a vacuum cleaner. I vacuum all the time. I was back east. I'm like, gotta use the sweeper.
Yeah,
I gotta use the sweeper.
In certain parts
Get a tomato.
Certain parts of the Northeast, they say run the sweeper instead of vacuum.
Sweeper.
Yeah.
So I am a chameleon. I adapt. I just absorb myself into a condition. So anyway, that's me. So chip. Everybody, governor, etc. Okay, so, but that social isolation of I'm not going to go to your party because I'm on a diet. I'm not going to get, takeout with everybody else because I'm on a diet.
Yeah.
When we isolate ourselves, we're limiting our ability to make decisions in actual 3D real life. Hey, I'm going to go to this party, but here are the choices I'm going to make. I'm going to get takeout, but what good luck I can get this meal that I know is going to fit my plan. When we don't challenge ourselves to have habits in challenging situations, we're not actually building any muscles to adapt and live in real life. And that is why in the past, my habits would fall apart the minute I was challenged in I'm going out to dinner. Okay, that's it. The diet's over forever.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a piece of cake. I have no idea how to deal with this. So I'm just going to eat it all and then not until I can diet again in a year, then I'll figure it out. Being adaptable, being able to make hard choices, show some grit, adaptability, and the idea of being able to get right back on your habits after a choice is so critical to long-term wellness and health. So social isolation, not good. Don't do it.
Yeah, and that also leads right into the next one on the list, which is increased stress. And here's a little secret. You are increasing your own stress when you are too rigid. And the reason for that is that you become overwhelmed and anxious when you're faced with unexpected situations because you haven't practiced adapting to things.
Yeah.
It just becomes this very stressful situation because you haven't learned or you haven't practiced to try and figure out, well, what could I do in this situation instead of just like throwing up my hands and being stressed and thinking that everything is terrible and falling into that fatalism, where, you are capable of looking at situations, adapting and making choices and changes that will work for you. And look, it's an experiment over time. You might try something that doesn't work. That doesn't mean that the next thing you try won't work or the next thing after that. It's a matter of continuing to try and adapt and change until you find something that works under the situation rather than just sitting there wallowing in your stress and anxiety.
Right. And I think right now, even too, with the fires going on in Los Angeles, family illnesses, things that we're trying to predict all the time, how we're going to control every circumstance in the world. That is so stressful. When we break it down and kind of go smaller and go like, what can I directly influence? What can I control? And what do I need to let go? I can't control things out of my control. So focusing on that sort of smaller picture really helps us let go of all of that stress. Because it's really hard. Like, I can't stop. Like, Superman has led me to believe that I can stop a plane in midair if I want to.
That's right. I think you can.
But like, there are things outside of our control. And when we stop trying to control them, it reduces our stress. And when we let go of that rigidity, we're letting go of that like white knuckle kind of hold we're trying to exact on things that are outside of our control.
Absolutely.
So the last one on the list for today is that rigidity limits creativity, right? When we are stressed out, overwhelmed, and angry that things aren't going our way, we're reducing our ability to have creative solutions. We resist new ideas, and that hinders innovation and problem solving. Like, I mean, and I've done it too. Sometimes I just want to be mad.
Yeah.
And I don't want a solution. Don't tell me how to fix this. Don't tell me, it's going to pass. Like, we've gotten through things in the past. Let's look at this a different way. Sometimes we just want to hold on to being angry. You know why? Because then we get an excuse to eat about it. We get an excuse to feel like the world is against us, that it's never going to go our way. There's one way to get things done. And because the world is against me, I'm going to go and eat about it. And I did this for decades, that nothing was fair, nothing would go my way. And even the implication that there was another way to get it done was like, you don't know my life. Like, you're shallow. Oh, that positive thinking. It's like, that's just for other kinds of people. And I did that like for years of like, nope, that's other people, not me. Must be nice to be other people. And it absolved me from having to take responsibility for my own choices. I felt like I was just being led by outside forces that were beyond my control. And it is so like, and I really did think that people who were positive were shallow and didn't really understand my plight.
Right.
And like, and reflecting on that, I mean, God, I'm in my 50s now. When I see other people, and usually like younger people in our family, perhaps, who get really upset when things don't go their way.
Yeah.
Like, I recognize that in myself, and being on the other side of it. And it's still a struggle at times when I'm feeling super overwhelmed. But when I see it, of going like, I can't wait for them to break through and realize that there are other ways to look at this. And that, like, just because they didn't get exactly what they want doesn't mean that there aren't other things that are going to be good. And when we open ourselves up and take a breath, that there are other solutions out there, other ways to look at it, and other ways to get it done, it feels so much better. But it's not anything that anyone can teach you. Right? Like, like we're saying all of these things, we've given you all of these examples, and it can be scary to let go of the old rigid way of doing things. It can be scary to let go of control of what we're trying to exact control over, because control feels good. It feels really good to have a plan and consistency and have goals like those we can hold on to and feel like, like not lost in the wilderness. It feels good to have a roadmap. God bless the engineers who created roads and pathways. Like, I didn't want to do that.
I know. If it was up to me, we'd still be driving over dirt.
Yeah, I am really glad that I wasn't in charge of engineering. That's good for me. But let us be your engineers in this weight loss journey venture. There are paths to success that don't necessarily look like what you thought they were going to look like. So in this week, I know we said next week we're going to talk more about being adaptable, but in the week ahead, take a moment to notice how you're feeling about something. Are you looking at one way of finding a solution? Are you resisting alternatives? Are you finding that maybe your decision making is clouded by your inflexibility? Are you finding that you're isolating yourself from others? And this can also be in a like, I'm struggling, but I'm embarrassed and I don't want to tell anyone I'm struggling because I was so confident that this was the right path.
Right.
Are you finding yourself like turning in on yourself? How is your stress level going? And then again, how creative are you being with your solutions? Notice when you're feeling friction. Notice when you're feeling tension in your chest or in your head or inability like to really come up with solutions. It's okay to not have all the answers right now, but when you find yourself feeling that frustration and that overwhelm, pause for a second and say, there is something else out there. There are ways to become more adaptable. It is just a muscle that needs to be flexed, and it's going to be uncomfortable, and that is okay. We don't have to come up with all of the solutions today, but just knowing that there is a way out can offer some relief. So notice how you feel this week, and remember that there are other ways to get things done. And if Donald and I can do it, we know that you can too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know if anybody was more rigid in their thinking than I was, and sometimes still am. It's always a work in progress. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate that you've taken some time out of your day to listen. I'm sure Catherine does too. And if you would like to listen to more episodes of this show, the most recent 300 are available on all of the major podcast platforms. And you can go back and listen all the way from the first episode on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel where all the podcasts show up. And also on our website at any time at weonlylookthin.com.
Yep. And if you are at weonlylookthin.com, click on that link for join our support group to find out more about Wolt Place. We Only Look Thin Place is our Facebook-based accountability group for women. We are not a weight loss plan. Come with your own plan. Come with your own structure. Do you like Weight Watchers? Are you counting calories? What are you doing? Come on over. Tell us about it. But we are a place for...
come on over.
Hang out. Hang out. You were there. We'll run the sweeper.
Yeah. That's a little bit of a Pennsylvania, New Jersey accent.
I heard some of the accent when I was there, and it just felt like a warm hug.
Yeah.
It makes me so happy.
We're going to get coffee, and we'll talk about dogs.
Donald's not doing it right.
I'm not.
Not my New Jersey.
All right, whatever.
But anyway, come over to Wolt Place. There's accountability, fellowship, just honest conversations about real life struggles. I do weekly Zoom meetings. I'm actually hosting one in 1 American hour.
Yeah.
So I've got to go get ready for that. But even if Facebook isn't really where you love hanging out, having weekly access to me in Zoom meetings is a really big benefit. So check it out. We've got 2 subscription options, a monthly subscription with a 3-day complimentary trial and a 3-month subscription with a 7-day complimentary trial to see if Wolt Place is right for you.
Absolutely. So please check it out. You can also check us out on the socials. We are on Facebook and Instagram at We Only Look Thin, or you could lob us an email. I think that's something people do is lob
lobbing.
emails.
Something is lobbed is definitely not a good thing.
Why?
Like,
you can lob. No. You can. There's lots of good lobbing that happens in sports.
Is there?
Yeah.
It's not a grenade?
No, I mean,
grenade?
that's like the
most popular thing to lob.
That's the most popular thing to lob. But you can lob a baseball, you can lob a football, and it could be a good thing.
Okay.
So you can, why don't you just send us an email instead of lobbing it to weonlylookthin@gmail.com. We enjoy getting episode suggestions. If you have questions for us, if there is a topic you feel like we haven't touched on in a while, or if you're wondering if there's a past episode where we talked about something, we do have a pretty good search feature on our website, by the way. If you're looking for a particular topic, there is a pretty good chance in the 367 episodes we've done that we have covered it, at least touched on it at some point if you search on the website. But you can also send us an email and ask us about it. Or if you just want to reach out and give us compliments, we enjoy that too. Once again, you can do that too. weonlylookthin@gmail.com.
Yep. And if you have a couple of extra minutes, head over to Apple Podcast and leave us a rating and a review. Fun fact, I just switched away from being an Apple person.
I know.
And I have There's
lots of Apple people that are now turning their noses up at you.
Yeah, including myself. But that's just stinking thinking, because it turns out on my new Android phone, I downloaded the Apple Podcast on my what kind of Android phone?
What will they think of next?
I was really upset, and now I'm not, because now I have it, and so now it's a good thing. But we have 703 star ratings now. It went up over 700, which is pretty serious.
I believe, and I don't have it in front of me, I believe that means we have 701 5-star ratings and 2 that were lower.
There's
one review on there that is negative, that they were like, they think they're funny, but they're not.
They're not. And that was from my grandma.
Sometimes the advice is good, but they really should stop trying to be funny.
Yeah, but we do actually, I would love that 1-star review. Like, they really don't like us.
Yeah, there was 1 star, and then I think there's like a 3 or 4 on there.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. But everything's good.
But there's 700 people that gave us 5 stars.
No, it's great.
You could be the next person to give us 5 stars. That's the whole point of this.
Yeah, that is the next point of this. So leave us a rating and a review. Not only does it let us know that what we're doing after 7 years. What have you done for 7 years?
Wow! You don't need to attack the listeners.
That's a long time, though.
It is a long time.
That is a long time. What we're doing after all these years is still making a difference in your life. We're getting new listeners. But it also helps other people find our podcast. Didn't you find some statistic that was only like 10% of podcasts last more than 5 years or something?
Yeah, it's a very small percentage of podcasts make it past 5 years. I can't remember what it was exactly, but it was like less than 10%.
Anyway, so leave us a rating and a review. It means everything to us.
Yes, indeed. And another thing you could do that would really help us out is just tell somebody about the show. If you know somebody that you think would get something out of it, if you are in a work Zoom and you just want to give us a shout out in the middle of it, I'm good with that. If you are in an online group of some kind that makes sense, a Reddit group, a Facebook group, a Discord server that is somehow related to weight loss and fitness, or the topic comes up and you give us a shout out, we would be grateful. It really does help the show grow.
So if you are looking around your room, car, or office right now, thinking about things that you could lob at us, please just remember that Donald and I are an inspiration. Please just lob a 5-star review. Thank you very much.
The information that you hear on this podcast is for informational purposes only. The hosts are not medical professionals. You should always consult with your doctor, nurse, or other certified health professional before beginning any diet or fitness program.